Alf, you ready to do this? What's going on, sports card hobby family? This might be the most important sports card video that you watch all year. I have teamed up here with Ryan from GemRate. I've got some data that might shock some of you all, and I think that this is going to be one of those videos where I'm going to try to get everybody thinking. A couple housekeeping notes. I do have an announcement coming up on IG. It's going to be fun, so later on with SlabMags, there will be something that pops up there. If you are looking for premium UV protected protection for your trading cards, SlabMags is it. Their website is down today for maintenance, but will be back up tomorrow. So I've got the 10% down below off. Check it out. Check it. Order one, order a couple. See what you think about the products. It's the next level up and then a couple levels up after that. It's it for card protection. So definitely check out SlabMags. I've got that link down below. The coupon code, I believe, is SportsCardDad at checkout. It'll be open tomorrow and onward. Also, PC pickup of the day. I've got a white Sparkle Breeze. I got an SGC 10 on it coming back from SGC now. Excited to add that one to the collection. All right. Ryan from GemRate, I was talking to him, and something that has been on my mind for a while now, for a long while, and it's not a new topic, but many talk about Slabgate and, Slabageddon, it's everything's getting graded, all the plastic, there's so much grading. There is absolutely no denying that we are in a massive grading boom that doesn't look to be slowing down. I personally don't think it will slow down for an extended period of time, really. And the reason is because people like graded cards. They just like the product. They want to have their cards graded, especially the hits that they get, or their PC cards. They just want to have them protected and so forth. It is becoming more and more of a thing as more people come into the hobby. It's just way more mainstream to have graded cards. And if you're buying, selling cards, it makes it a lot easier to sell cards that are graded. It's authenticated, it's got a grade attached, so it's very easy to negotiate with buyers. Grading makes buying great and it makes selling great. It's just something that we absolutely have to have. What we're going to look at today, though, most people are going to think that I'm going to talk about the economy. I'm not. It's got nothing to do with the economy whatsoever. There is a vulnerability for cards in rising population reports. We're going to look at 3 examples of iconic cards today. GemRate, like I said, Ryan GemRate, doing the Lord's work over there, put together some information for me to be able to use in a video. He has developed a universal population report. It's still work in progress, of course, but the one thing I would say, and I asked him, is there any sort of a paid service that you want me to promote or anything? Because this stuff is so invaluable to collectors, speculators, investors, whatever you consider yourself to be able to have this data so that we can understand the population, so we can understand supply. We need to understand graded supply. That's what gemrate.com offers. He's got a universal search on that page. Check it out. Check out gemrate.com. All right, so we pulled out 3 different cards. 81 Topps Joe Montana rookie card, 89 Upper Deck Griffey Jr. rookie, 86 Floor. I can't talk, man. 86 Fleer Jordan rookie card. And so what we're going to do is look at total populations, and we're going to just kind of talk through this. So the total population currently for the 81 Topps Joe Montana rookie card is 45,578 cards across the major 4 grading companies, PSA, SGC, BGS, and CGC. 45,578 have been graded in total. And we can kind of break down the numbers. 2022, 2023, PSA had, in 2022, 3,324, 3,539 in 2023. And then SGC 1,100 and 1,261. Ryan doesn't have the data from 2021 for the other grading companies, only has PSA, but again, it gives us at least kind of a view into what it was. In 2021, PSA graded 2,332 cards. So out of the 45,578 Montana rookies that have ever been graded across the 4 major grading companies, if you add up the 2021 PSA numbers plus the 10,214 over the last 3 years, you get approximately 13,000, maybe a little bit higher, 13,000 cards that have been graded over the last 3 years. That represents 28% of all graded Montana rookie cards have been graded in the last 3 years. Now, I want you to keep in mind, PSA and SGC are 30-year-old companies, and Beckett Grading is a 20-year-old company. CGC relatively new, but still, I think this kind of proves the point here that Almost 30% of all the Montana rookie cards that have ever been graded happened in the last 3 years, and then the rest over the previous 25 to 27 years. Isn't that kind of mind-boggling to you? It was for me. Not a complete shock, because just you see all the, I mean, look, we got what, 15 plus million cards being graded a year now by grading companies. So next up, we've got the 89 Upper Deck Griffey Jr. rookie card. There's not another card that's been graded more than this one. 161,405 total graded ever for the Upper Deck Griffey Jr. as of today. And if we look at it over the last 3 years, 25,675 plus the 2021 from PSA numbers of 7,736. So 33,000 plus of those have been graded in the last 3 years. So 20, 21, 22% of all graded Griffey Jr. rookie cards from 89 Upper Deck were graded over the last 3 years. 86 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card, 43,778 in total. When you add up the numbers over the last 3 years, 8, 9, 10,000 of those have been graded over the last 3 years. So you see some consistency here. Anywhere from 22 to 28% of the total graded cards have happened in a very short period of time with no signs of slowing down. You know, it's not as if we look and we're like, oh man, here's going to be the catalyst that's going to slow down grading. It hasn't. And so when I'm looking at cards like this, an example of this is an 89 score Barry Sanders rookie card. I want to own a PSA 10 of that card. I want to own a Fleer Jordan rookie card as well. But as I'm seeing these numbers, what it's telling me is there is still a ton of ungraded supply out there that is still moving to the grading companies. It's still moving in. Brian made a good point. Actually, the Jordan has started to slow down a little bit if we're comparing to 2021. Whereas the Upper Deck Griffey and the Montana rookie have been increasing. This data is so important because if you are buying a 5 of one of these cards or a 7 of one of these cards, which most of us fall into this bucket, most of us are not buying the 10, for this particular type of card. It just shows you, man, there's so much more of this coming to market. And right now, I still consider this to be a sports card boom. I think if you look around, yes, you've got a lot of high-end prices that have come back down to earth over the last couple of years, but it's a feeding frenzy on the lower end to mid-level stuff. Look on eBay at stuff, it's selling all over the place. Yes, you do have cards that are sitting there with huge buy it nows, on eBay that aren't moving. Okay, fine. But check out the auctions. I mean, cards are selling. People are still buying a lot of cards, and that's just what you see online. These card shows are absolutely packed. We just went to the National last year that was the most attended National ever, and that's 2 years after coming off of the highs. We're not in some sort of like a price high to where people would rush to the National to go check out what's going on. We're 2.5 years away from all-time highs on a lot of this stuff. And it's a feeding frenzy on kind of that lower end to mid end. I was listening to Jeff Wilson and Ryan Card Collector 2 were talking yesterday on the Jeff Wilson show. And Ryan in his shop, and I heard this also from Bryant down Tampa Card Show, told me the exact same thing, that they were slammed in December. And Ryan Card Collector 2, I think he said it was one of their busiest months ever for their shop. So when you would think like, oh, wouldn't that have been like 2021? Wouldn't 2021 have been like the busiest? And what's happening is you are having people where price points have come down to where they can afford some things. You look at this, and a lot of people might look at this as bad news. If you are a long-term holder, this can be really great news, but it's also something where I think it's like, hey, do we need to buy this right now? Why not wait a couple of years? Why not wait a few years and see what happens with this graded supply? I want to see it hit a point where there's, 300 Michael Jordan rookie cards that got graded in total last year. That tells me that we're getting to the end. We're getting to the end of the graded supply. If there is always 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 cards being graded every year of a card, I mean, it's like, what is my rush? What is my rush? And then here's the other thing that you should think about is right now, like I said, we're in a big boom time, high demand for cards. There's a lot of excitement. If there's ever a period of time where that slows down, to where it's not where it is now. It's a feeding frenzy right now. What if it tapers back? And I'm not saying it crashes like nobody cares anymore. Like we go from Beanie Babies, yes, euphoria, to like nobody cares anymore, because that's kind of what happened there. And cards are not Beanie Babies, but I'm just drawing the point of like, I don't see that happening in the same fashion. But what happens if people just get burned out and they're like, oh man, I'm going to take a break. And we do have a little bit of a slowdown, but you still have all the supply. You still have all the supply without that demand there to meet it. And so the big question is, as the supply increases on a lot of these cards, is demand there to meet it, to not only maintain the current price that you see today, but is it also going to grow prices over time? Is there going to be additional demand? When Fanatics talks about 10xing the number of collectors, they kind of will need to battle out this higher supply that we've got. And I think that this also explains a lot of why you see people moving more towards the 90s inserts, or, stuff that's lower numbered. Why are they doing that? They're doing that because this sort of card is always going to be there. There's no shortage of it. It's just a matter of what grade you want at which price point. But I guess that's my point, is if they continue grading thousands and thousands and thousands, if there's just more 9s, if there's just more 8s, for Montana rookie card's a good example. For me, I would like to own that card in a 9. Am I in a huge rush knowing that they're continuing to get a horde of these in? I'm not. I'm not in a huge rush. I'll just prioritize other things. I'll come back to that card down the road a little bit when this thing has slowed down a little bit and I can get a feel of like, okay, they're not grading that card as much. Maybe we are getting to the end of viable cards for grading, for that particular card. This speaks a lot to ultra modern. Be careful out there. We've talked about it, but you see it all the time. There's a new release, low pop, pop 1, pop 2. Look, I don't care if it's a pop 1, if it's a non-numbered card. That just, to me, look at like the Mac Jones, Don Russ, or whatever, the rated rookie PSA 10 that sold for $3,000. Going back a couple years. That's always the example that's used, but that was peak, people reaching for the stars on something that it was just a timing thing where there's a zillion of them that just had not been graded yet. And so that's a massive lesson learned, I hope, for a lot of people. You got to figure it out that if you're playing in that game, you're a short-term flipper, and it's just whoever's going to hold the bag last. It's a musical chairs thing, and you just hope that you're not left standing. That's really what that game is when we're talking about new product, grading it, selling it quickly, moving out of it. That's not really long-term hold. If you've got a person that you want a long-term hold, just wait. Just wait. There's plenty of it coming out. Weminyama, we're watching now. Silver prisms are popping out for Weminyama. They're selling. I saw one. I posted one on my page on eBay. They're going for big money. And guess what? There's going to be a lot of those. That'll probably be a whole separate video of pricing, watching the pricing on Wemby silver prisms. Because, man, there is no doubt. Look, that's not short printed, friends. That is not short printed. My assumption is the people that are bidding hard, that are coming in to buy that, to buy big on that, they have got a very clear plan to grade that out and sell it quickly. I'm just assuming that. I'm assuming that those are not collectors that are getting in now to hold that card. That's just my assumption. Now, vintage folks, you might be thinking, I collect vintage. I don't care about that. Well, the grading companies are grading over 1 million. I think it was like 1.2, 1.3 out of the 15 million. And I know most of it's modern, most of it's not 50s, 60s baseball cards, but 100,000 cards a month, approximately 1.2 million are being graded, vintage cards. So, the whole idea that, these are all set, they're done grading these, that's not necessarily the case either. And then again, for me, it's just kind of like, I'll just wait for this graded supply. I'll wait for it to slow down. I'll wait 5 years and get that Willie Mays card. I'll wait 5 years and get that Stan Musial card. I'll wait 5 years and get the Bart Starr or whatever. I've got some nice vintage stuff that I enjoy, but as I look at this, as I look at the landscape, it'll be there. It'll be there for me. So I think this data, it makes people think what's actually rare. And so I hope the video kind of challenges people to think about this thing before making buys. And let me also just throw this in there as well. I'm talking more for long-term holds here. So I'm not talking about if you're a collector of a new player and you're trying to complete a rainbow, you're trying to complete a set, and you're not as worried about this sort of thing. You're not worried about graded population or whatever because you're just trying to complete a set. You're just trying to complete a rainbow and you're not worried about it. What I'm talking about is people that, like myself, that you're trying to buy something and you're trying to hold it over an extended period of time, maybe decades. And for people like me, there is an unknown vulnerability. It's a big risk. It's that unknown graded supply. Us not knowing kind of where that's going to land is a vulnerability from a price point perspective. So it's something that we all got to keep in mind. Guys, have an amazing rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.